Happy Mola Monday, everybody, and welcome to this week's Hall of Trials video. In this video, we will be combating Fastus. The incomplete Fastus fight does not have a Dagger Sakar mission, so we're just going to look for a triple S team that doesn't really require changing any gear, using standard builds. My goal is to present a couple of different options for teams where the only thing you have to mess around with are artifacts. Now, in the incomplete Fastus fight, if you have a Thief hero on the team, you take a lot more damage. If you have a Dark Elemental on the team, you deal a lot less damage. So no Thieves, no Dark Elements. Now when a Mage hero is on the team and they attack with their S1 during the break phase, for every debuff that's on Fastus, you'll attack a second time. Maximum of 2 bonus attacks per round. So we definitely want mages who do a lot of damage on their S1. Ice Elemental heroes get 40% extra damage dealt, which helps in the exhausted phase because ice mages are terrible. There really aren't any good damage dealing ice mages, and before anybody starts screaming, oh, what about Lulika? No, even with the 40% damage, even with her extra EE hit, she doesn't hold a candle to the other damage mages. Now for the first team, I'm going with Vivian. In fact, with all teams, I'm going with Vivian. She's just too good for this. You put her on the number 3 EE. This lets her cleanse the buff block that Fastus puts on your team, and she's an AoE attack buffer, and good lord, she hits like a truck. I put her on the Hall of Trials artifact for extra damage, and it's just my standard Banshee build, other than those 2 changes. Second is Arya. I know she's not much to look at stat-wise, but this is my standard Arya. She has Blind on her S1, and I put her on Sierra Wren to hopefully proc a second debuff. It's 2 50% chances, but hopefully they both stick, and it gives us our 2 debuffs. She's also very tanky, so she's a good frontliner. Next, I'm going to use Ram. This is my standard Expedition Ram, but I did change her to Speed Boost that have crit chance on it to try to get her crit chance a little bit higher and to make her cycle more. Her S1 has an attack buff. She's a second source of debuffs. I put her on Caladra for maximum damage. That's actually her normal artifact. Milim, I just took my standard Milim. I put her on the E that helps her heal a little bit more. Hopefully that'll help keep her surviving in the fight. And again, Caladra. If you don't have 2 Caladras, you can use the Symbol of Unity artifact for damage. Now, alternate mages. You could run Sylvan Sage Vivian. She's got a heal on her and the destruction buff. You might need a manual to tune her in properly. Giselle self-cleanses, does a ton of damage. Roy Mustang, probably one of the hardest hitting mages in this game, so he would be a good option. Solitary of the Snow would be a great option. She has extra attacks and she's fast, so on Sierra Wren she'll really spam a lot of debuffs. Didn't mention her here, but Dizzy would also be really, really good in this. Ida is a good damage dealer with a defense break. Melissa is a great damage dealer with a heal block on her S1, so she'd work well. I don't think Ludwig has any debuffs, but he does hit hard. Mercedes revives herself, so that lets her come back from the grave and keep fighting after she's dead. Lulika, she does have 4-hit potential with her EE giving an extra hit. And I didn't mention her, but I'll show you something great about this unit. If you run Silverblade Aramentha, she'll give you all the debuffs you need. She doesn't hit hard, but man, she hits a lot and is a debuffing machine. Good lord, how many hits was that? But let's get back to the main team.
May despair.
At the start of the fight, Fastus puts buff block on everybody. This is why we want Vivian on the EE. The EE cleanses before she buffs, so it gets rid of all the buff block and puts attack buff on everybody. Arya puts up her defense buff and her counter. Ram hits, puts the defense break up, and Maline pushes us into phase 2. There's our 2 debuffs, Sierra Wren and the Blind both proc. We also got the attack down from Ram, so we're doing 3 hits. 1, 2, 3 hits, plus we get a Dragon Buster. Looks like Milim's hitting for about 137k. Ram was hitting for a little over 200k because of the self-gab. Vivian's hitting just shy of 200k per hit, so this is a lot of damage. Vivian cycles around, gets her S2 off. Another 3 hits out of Milim. couple hits out of Arya. We get the Murder Penguin.
What sets me apart?
And 2 more hits. Do I get a hit from Ram? It robbed me out of my next round from Ram. Ram could have done another 600k damage. I hate that sometimes you get that last attack, sometimes you don't. The attack down from Ram is really nice, helps keep us alive. That skill right there is one of the hardest things to deal with. It's a heal block.
Destruction. Answer my
And Vivian
call.
cleanses. She gets rid of the buff block, thankfully, so we're able to get attack buff on everybody. Milim drops her Dragon Buster.
The shadows.
Now Arya protects everybody, defense buffs herself, and remember she is on lifesteal even though we're heal blocked. Now that that's off, she'll be able to start healing herself.
Regret facing. All is done.
Great timing on Ram, pushes us into the break phase with greater attack buff on both of our mages. Okay, we've only got 1 debuff up, so we're only hitting twice. There's our 3rd debuff, so now we can start hitting 3 times with S1s. So there's 1, 2, and 3 into a Dragon Buster. We've passed the 4.5 million mark, so we're over SSS plus. Anything above this is just icing on the cake. 200k, 400k, 600k out of Ram. Huge damage. We're over 6 million now.
I've done my part. This will suit you. Well.
The dual attack with Arya triggered her Murder Penguin.
Forbidden
Oh,
spell.
unfortunate timing on the
Destroy
S3.
all.
Now we can't cleanse this. Rip all those beautiful buffs. I think we were well over 7 million if we cleansed, if we were just a little bit slower on Vivian and cleansed. Regardless, your goal is 4.5 million. With this team, easy, full auto SSS. If your gear is much lower quality and you're struggling, just run it on manual. A little bit of proper timing. Heck, even turning the skills off for the break phase and then turning all your skills on when you're outside the break phase would
Sets me apart.
ramp your score up significantly. Decent heal.
Destruction. Extinction. Total.
That ends the run at 6.8 million, well above the SSS plus mark of 4.5 million. Now, the best thing about this is you can use a variety of mages. I tried running a Soul Weaver for full completion, but just the presence of a Soul Weaver on the team, like Amelia, reduced the damage score by over 1.3 million, which is more than you get from completing the final phase and getting the 1 million bonus points. So I think 4 mages is the way to go. Don't even worry about trying to complete. Now let's talk about some of the other options. We'll just breeze through these real quick. But I mentioned before that Dizzy is really good in this, so we'll drop Arya out and put Dizzy in. I know these are collab units, I'm going to give you non-collab options, but here's Dizzy, just a standard scuffed Dizzy on Sierra Ren, and we'll run the same damage dealers as before just to show how it performs. Now when Dizzy does her S3, she guarantees sticks the 3D, well not guaranteed, there's always 15%, right? But she got all 3, and with Sierra Ren there's an extra one. Her S2 is really nice because you can CR manipulate Fastus, so she keeps pushing him back, keeps the buffs on. And this team took it all the way to the end with a very similar score to the first team, 6.6 million. And I think it was a little bit more stable with Dizzy. So let's try removing the collab units and running some more free-to-play options. So there's a Melissa and a Mercedes. Mercedes there mostly for damage, Melissa there for additional debuffs, but I tell you, with Dizzy, we didn't really need it. We pushed all the way to the end and secured a very safe SSS plus at a little over 5.2 million score. I tried another option with Silverblade Aramentha because I'm sure you saw earlier the insane amount of debuffs she drops. I'm going to go ahead and run Guider Aether because, hey, I figured he would bring some healing to the team, so I put him on his S1E for extra healing. And I'm trying Giselle as an alternate damage dealer, just because I like Giselle and I think she'll do damage. I went ahead and put the Nostalgic Music box on Aramentha, thinking it would give me additional healing. And let me tell you what, she worked very, very well with the debuffs. But Guider Aether only seemed to use his healing skill when heal block was on, and the Nostalgic Music box never procced. But even with all of that happening, worst possible run, I still cleared SSS plus easily with this team. So you can mix and match just about any of the units on these teams. I think Vivian is about the only must-have. If you don't have Vivian for some reason you haven't done the hunt event yet and gotten Vivian, or you transmitted her or something, I don't know. If you don't have Vivian, you can run Amelia as a healer. You will probably need to manual at least part of it to get the SSS plus unless you have a pretty lucky run, but you should still be able to do it. I hope this video helps you guys with your incomplete Fastus runs. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. I do my best to try to answer those. If you need more direct help, jump in my Discord and DM me or ask the community. And as always, like and subscribe. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.